Hello lovers, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. Oh my goodness, let me just get comfortable here. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Wellness Wednesday. How are you doing? Oh my goodness, another one has rolled around thick and fast. I have no idea which direction this particular episode is going to take me in because I'm not going to lie, my brain is feeling quite full. I have had a gorgeous week, a really fulfilling, nourishing week of both work and play. Lots of gorgeous opportunities came my way, but I won't lie, it has been a lot. So going back a little bit, we had the Easter bank holiday weekend where I was doing a bit of traveling back and forth between family and work as I still wanted to show up for my Slow Flow Sunday class, which was a gorgeous class. I'm so pleased I did that. And then later on in the week, I had another amazing opportunity to be part of the Marketing Leaders Program at Chewinby Farm Hotel. So again, that involved quite a bit of traveling alongside all my other classes as well. So it definitely was a busy week. And a lot of my focus on this week was to make sure I could show up in these spaces as my authentic self, bring as much energy as I could, as much focus as I could. And I'm so pleased for how I showed up, particularly in the Marketing Leaders Program, which I'm hoping to talk about a little bit more later on. I might dedicate a whole other episode to it because it's been a really interesting unfolding this past week. But as a result, I dedicated a lot of energy, a lot of focus to classes, to work, and to this opportunity. And then when it got to Friday, I was like, I'm spent. I am spent. I am maxed out. And this particular Friday also happened to be my Calm Collective Friday. And I was thinking about it during the week. I was just like, am I gonna have energy for this? Am I gonna be able to show up and still let this be the gorgy Calm Collective event that I know it is in and out each month? And I just had this feeling that I was kind of, if I pushed myself to do the Calm Collective, I was going to burn out. So I had a little look at Friday morning and there wasn't too many people booked on anyway. And I was just like, you know what? I need to take some time back for myself. And I messaged the people that were booked on. They were happy to move to the next month. And in fact, one of the lovely ladies that were booked onto the session, booked onto the event, said, you know what, I'm going to do one of your Patreon classes instead. And I was like, amazing. This is exactly one of the reasons I started Patreon. So if I'm not ever able to show up in person, be physically present, there's still ways in which people can get their practice in. And this was just a perfect example of that coming into play. So I was so pleased with that. But ultimately, I made the decision to cancel the Calm Collective. But what happened as a result of that was part of my brain was like seeing that as a failure. And I had to have a good word with myself and be like, no, this isn't a failure, because what you preach all the time, I say it pretty much in every single practice, and I'm pretty sure I've said it in every single episode, that the only way in which you can show up for others authentically is by showing up for yourself first. It starts with you first. So I had one of those moments where I had to put that into practice. So there was no Calm Collective this Friday, but as a result of that, I've been able to gain some of that time back for myself and show up for myself first. And that's pretty much what this day has been about. But there's still been a little bit of unraveling within that a little bit. Again, my brain has been very busy. Your gal's putting a real shift in at the moment. Your gal is working so hard I'm just really trying to put myself out there. I'm at the point where I'm kind of hoping to scale business. That's why Patreon is there. That's why this podcast is here. That's why I'm showing up on social media quite a bit nowadays. I've just got many spinning plates in the air. And as a result, my brain is quite busy. And I think also with the social media side of things, a lot of people don't realize how much effort, how much time goes into that. And pretty much almost every moment of my day, I'm thinking about content. I'm thinking about, okay, what's the next bit of content I'm gonna put out there, because I'm now on TikTok as well, so I'm managing more accounts, and I'm like, okay, what can I post about here? What can I post about there? And it's almost like every moment of my waking life is potential content. And I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I knew this was a potential risk when coming to scale business, when coming to show up, when it comes to showing up a little bit more. And I think when I woke up this morning, again, I noticed this busyness. And I had a few moments where I was thinking ahead to May, and I was like, oh boy, I've got an event pretty much every weekend in May, again, alongside all other classes and everything else I do already. So I'm like, holy moly, okay, we need to take a little step back. And actually, the past couple of days, I've been thinking a lot about, okay, how is your future self going to thank you? And everything I've done the past few days have been like, okay, do this for your future self now, because again, you will reap the rewards later. So literally, when I got back from Chumbu Farm Hotel on the Friday, and I could feel my energy being so low, so minimal, I was like, okay, do your food shop now. Don't go home, go straight to Sainsbury's. Do your food shop now. Your future self will thank you. And I was like, okay, done that. And I'm literally having to like parent myself through this. And then I got home and I looked around my flat. I was like, okay, the flat's messy. Tidy up, do a big spring clean now. Your future self tomorrow will thank you waking up in a nice, tidy, clean space. So I was like, okay. And I just powered through, blitzed the flat, watered all my plants, and then lit some candles, lit some incense, sat down on a sofa, and I was like, okay. Also, what I wouldn't recommend, however, is going and doing your food shop when you are that tired, because I did not have the energy to make appropriate decisions. I'm like walking down the sweets, the chocolate aisle. I came back with 2 bags of mini eggs. So I was like, better get these mini eggs now, because I don't know, like they're not going to be on the shelves for another year, you know? And I came home with a full tub of Pringles. So by the time I got home, I'd done my food shop. I'd like smashed these 2 events. I smashed a full week of classes. I'd blitzed the flat. I sat down on the sofa and I was like, oh yeah, give me those Pringles. We're going all in. And I think a friend had messaged me and she was like, do you want to go for like a coffee or a drink later? And I just sent her a photo of me horizontal on the sofa, bundled in a blanket with a tub of Pringles, being like, you know what? I'm all good, honey. So yes, we took some real time back these past few days, which has been necessary, but has been so perfect. And again, I do think my future self now, or my present self, is very grateful for it. But there has been this kind of lingering busyness, and I suppose like a teeny tiny bubbling of anxiety. Again, I looked ahead to May and I was like, okay, you've got a lot coming up, plan. And I'm already thinking in my head, being like, okay, let's formulate this plan. Let's formulate the content schedule. Let's formulate the Patreon schedule. And I had to really sit there and be like, Lauren, none of this needs to be done right now. None of this planning needs to be done right now. It's a Saturday. Take a day off, for Christ's sake. I really had to convince myself. It's so surprising. Well, it's not surprising at all, but I really had to sit down and have a good word with myself. Like, just take a day off, honey. Like, nothing needs to be done now. What are you rushing around for? Take that time back. And I said to myself, Lauren, the only person you need to show up for today is yourself. Because in all the things I was thinking about, all the things I was needing to plan, and all the things I was conscious of that needs to be done, was me showing up for others. And then I literally wiped the slate clean. I was like, the only person you need to show up for today is yourself. So I was like, okay. But it took a lot of time. I was like, okay, what do I need? How can I show up for myself today? And I was like, I could very easily stay in all day, I don't know, binge watch a load of Netflix, eat a whole load of shit, and nothing. I was just like, okay, that is one option. Okay. And I so easily could have done that. But it took a little bit of time to think about, like, okay, but what's actually going to serve you here? Because in my next thought was like, yes, I could very easily be a sofa slob for the entire day, do nothing. But am I going to feel better for worse for having doing that? And I was like, I don't think that's going to serve. So took a little bit of convincing, took a little bit of time, but we made ourselves some banana pancakes, which were delightful. A little bit of fruit, a little bit of vanilla yogurt on there, delicious. Once I finally like nourished myself, I was like, okay, what now? What am I going to do now? Because I had this energy. I couldn't just sit down. Just like, why didn't you go for a walk? But I was like, oh, can I be asked to go for a walk? You know, when you like, you know the things that are going to help you, you know the things that are going to serve you, but for some reason they become the hardest tasks. So I was just like, why don't you go for a walk? Go to your favorite route, go to your favorite spot. Why don't you do that? So I was like, okay, fine, fuck it. It's a nice day. Put some shoes on. Doesn't matter what you look like. Whacked a cap on and went for a little stomp. And this is what I want to talk about today, I think, because actually this little solo stomp was just features so many beautiful moments where I'm just like, wow, what is happening here? And anyway, laced up my good old Converse, went outside, got some fresh air, because again, I knew that little bubbling of anxiety was going to feel so much better from having like that fresh air hit deep into my lungs. So finally got out there and I just started walking my normal route. Didn't put my AirPods in. I just kind of wanted to actually just be immersed in the sounds around me. I didn't want any distractions. I just wanted to be with whatever is present right now. And I'm walking and I'm taking these steps and I was just like, oh God, my mind is so busy. It's like one thought to the next, dash, 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 dash. And again, I'm thinking like, oh, you know, are you going to record the podcast today? Or are you going to do it tomorrow? What are you going to do? What's your plan? What's your plan? And I'm like, for fuck's sake, Lauren, not every single moment of your day has to be planned out. So I was just like, okay, you're taking this step, you're taking the next step, you're taking another step. Just let the walk be the walk, okay? The thoughts, they were slowly starting to quieten. They were slowly starting to simmer, like the intensity was starting to simmer ever so slightly. And then before I know it, this beautiful butterfly, this is going to sound so like a cliche, but this beautiful butterfly was flying around me and then happened to land a few feet out ahead of me. And I was just like, oh, wow, beautiful. And I was able to like study its wings, the pattern, the color. And it landed for a good while. It was probably like there for a minute. And I just stopped and I just stared at it. And part of me is thinking, oh, this would be great content for the Butterfly Effect podcast. And I was just like, okay, stop thinking about content, okay? Just be in the fucking moment. So I did exactly that. I studied this butterfly. I took it all in. I took in the color, the pattern, the shapes. That butterfly was simply sitting on the earth, was just landing upon the earth. I just let myself land into that moment. And then after a little bit of time went by, I was like, okay, let's see if we can get like a little video of it. So I took a video of it. And as I start to take the video, the butterfly takes off into the air and starts to fly, and it flies in the direction of the path I'm going to take. So I'm like, okay, let's literally just follow this butterfly. And then I started chuckling to myself because if you know Harry Potter, you know there's this line where Ron Weasley says, follow the spiders. Why couldn't it be follow the butterflies? And I was like, come on, Ron, here we go. We're following the butterflies. So I followed this butterfly that's taken me down this particular path. And again, it's a path I've done multiple times. It's nothing new to me, but this butterfly is leading me today. So I'm like, okay. And this butterfly eventually takes me to this bench. And it's my favorite bench. I often sit there on this bench, and it's featured a couple times in my content. It's where I did a letter burn ceremony on the summer solstice. It's where I've often gone to sit, reflect, process. So this bench, if I actually think about it, has probably been one of the key places where I've allowed myself to just land. And this butterfly took me there. So, okay, I sat down on the bench. And I'm still trying to quieten these thoughts. I'm still trying to do my best to just land into this moment. And one of the reasons I love this bench is because it looks out. You can't see anything else around you other than nature, but it looks out and there's 4 different paths out ahead of you. You could go back the way you came, you could go slightly to the left, you could go slightly to the right, or you could go all the way to the right and continue on forwards in that straight line. And as you're sitting on this bench, it's like, okay, you always have options ahead of you. You always have a series of paths out ahead of you. It is entirely up to you which path you take, and that is a choice that only you can make. And I love that about that bench. I happen to find myself at this bench when I'm at like a pivotal moment. It doesn't have to be a huge pivotal moment. It doesn't have to be a grand, enlightening moment. Maybe it's a case of just me needing to make small decisions and me trying to like muddle through some shit or muddle through like some chaos. That bench happens to find me, or I happen to find the bench, or maybe it's a combination of the two. I don't know. And I was like, okay, let's land here for a moment. So I closed my eyes, did a little meditation, and I was just trying to draw my awareness to my senses, how my feet felt within my shoes, how my shoes felt against the earth, how my hands felt against one another. And I started even just kind of like rubbing the thumbs against the tips of my fingers and just noticing the surface of my skin, the texture. Does one hand feel smooth? One hand feel rough? I was noticing the texture of clothing against my skin. And I was noticing how my body was feeling. Is there tightness across my shoulders? Is there tightness across my chest? What can we do to soften that ever so slightly? I was just working through a little checklist where I drew the awareness into my body, and then I started sending the awareness outwards. I was like, okay, what else is here with you right now? As you're rooting into this moment, what else is present with you? And of course, there's this gorgeous bird song all around. I'm noticing the different sounds. And I'm then noticing the direction these sounds are coming from, okay? And again, their quality, how loud they are. And there was one really aggressive crow at one point. So again, noticed that, clocked that. And yeah, I was probably there for a good 5-10 minutes, just me and my eyes closed. And I also was really focusing on slowing down my breath and just really allowing myself to sigh it all out. So I was taking myself through this little regulation practice that I teach so often, but I was really having to double down and offer it to myself in that moment. But anyway, this meditation concludes. I bring it to an end and I slowly open my eyes. And as I do so, I notice how clear and crisp everything seems around me. And the first thing that catches my eye is this feather that's right by my feet. And it's actually quite an interesting feather. It's like a striped feather. No idea which bird it's come from. Someone please tell me in the comments. I don't know. It's like a light feather with dark brown stripes across it. So I look down a little bit more closely at it and I'm like, interesting. I didn't notice that was there. That's been with me this entire time. Didn't notice it. As I look up, I shit you not, there's a fox. There's this curious fox just stood there, just staring at me. And I'm like, oh, okay, wow. And it's also broad daylight. Foxes apparently only usually come out at night. That's not the case for this particular fox. He is out there in broad daylight and he's apparently having a lovely day. And he fancies saying hello, apparently. So this fox clocks me. I clock the fox. And he stares at me for a good long time. He's really curious about my presence. And I just stare back at it. And I don't know how much time passed, but ultimately this fox starts to slowly turn and walks back into the next set of bushes. So it came from one path. So as I mentioned, there's these 4 paths ahead of you. In between each path is a bit of is like bushes, hedgerows, to kind of like define the path. So the fox goes from one path and then into the hedgerow, dividing 2 more of the paths. So it kind of disappears for a second. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder if it's going to appear again. So I just sit there for a little bit longer and lo and behold, this fox comes out again. As it comes out the second time, this fox gets a little bit braver. It creeps closer and closer to me. And I have never been so still in my life. I was like a rock. And it got closer and closer, and I was just like, what? Okay, hang on. What is my plan here? Is this fox looking at me like I'm its next potential meal? Or again, is it just curious about my presence and like, I don't need to worry? Like, what is the situation here? So, but again, I just sat with the fox. I was just staring back at it. And again, the fox kind of crossed the path, went into the next set of hedgerow. And I was just like, wow, okay, weird, but equally wonderful. I wonder if I'll see it again. Lo and behold, that fox comes out again. And again, it stares at me. Again, curious about my presence, and is just staring at me so intently. I don't know whether it's some sort of a sign or it's trying to convey something. I have no idea. Obviously, I'm a big believer in the universe and, small signs here and there. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, what does this mean? Anyway, the fox stares at me a little bit longer, then continues, and it kind of goes back the path I came down. And then I kind of lean out because I want to watch where it goes. I want to see where it goes. And the fox has one final look back at me and then continues. And then I don't see it again. And I sat there and I was just like, that was pretty fucking weird. And then immediately I'm like, okay, let's Google what do foxes symbolize? So I had a little Google of it, and this is what Google had to say. In many cultures, a fox symbolizes cunning, trickery, and adaptability. It's often associated with intelligence, quick wit, and the ability to navigate challenging situations. Foxes can also represent transformation, magic, and spiritual guidance. And I read this and I'm like, oh boy, oh, what's the universe? And it's like these I don't know if you've ever had these moments where it feels like the universe is kind of on your side a little bit and you get this kind of like little tickle of excitement. It's like, oh, okay, the universe is getting a little spicy here. What does this mean? And yeah, I read a little bit more, and it was basically saying if you see a single fox on its own, it's a sign of good luck and prosperity. So I'm like, okay, there we go. That's the message I needed to hear today. That is what the fox was trying to tell me. Thank you so much. And I read that and I was just like, okay, sign of good luck. I'm going to trust in that. I'm going to believe in that. Now, you might feel like that's completely ridiculous, but whatever. Like, I like to think that, I don't know, that was just one of those small signs that something, I don't know, is perhaps on its way to me, and then I was meant to be there in that particular moment. And it's almost like another gorgeous moment of serendipity, right? Because if I hadn't had like almost gentle parented myself to go out on this walk and to just be with nature and just take a moment to land, to root, to notice, I wouldn't have spotted that fox and I wouldn't have received what I needed to receive in that moment. And that is beautiful. And so I sat at that bench for a little bit longer and I thought, okay, the fox is not coming out again. It's time to move on. And it's literally like I've had this small but significant moment that no one else witnessed, no one else knows about, but it feels like it's shifted something within me. It feels like it's had an effect. And it's so small. It's such a small, quiet moment that I feel like has had such a profound impact. So I get up and I start walking away. I was like, did I just have a Disney princess moment? Am I living the Disney princess life? Is that what that was? Was that just a reminder to, again, continue romanticizing the small moments, the quiet moments, even like on this day where showing up for yourself has perhaps been the hardest thing, but you still did it? Again, like I feel like I was just gifted something in that moment. And I continued walking down this path. I picked a path, I continued walking down it. And every so often I'd look back and I was like, I wonder if the fox is there. I was kind of like hoping that the fox was still there, rooting for me. But again, it's one of those fleeting moments where something showed up for me there and then that I didn't realize I needed, but it showed up for me nonetheless. And I think that was just a really beautiful moment, and continued on my way home. And then I thought, you know what? Let's record the podcast now. I wasn't sure whether I was going to do the podcast today. I was just being super mindful of my energy, like how am I going to feel showing up? But I thought this would be just a really cute story to share. to share how the evolution and how quickly things can change, how you're never stuck in one emotion, one thought, one feeling for very long. Things continuously evolve. And by me picking myself up, taking myself out on this hot girl walk, that was the shift in energy that I needed. It's so easy to feel stuck and stagnant, but again, sometimes that little shift in energy is all you need to continue that flow, that evolution. So I suppose what I want this episode to be is just a reminder, again, show up for yourself first before you show up for others. And sometimes the most profound shifts happen in the smallest, quietest of moments where no one else around, it's just you, it's just this moment. So I suppose if you ever find yourself, your energy's a little bit low, there's this busyness, there's this hesitation to do the things that you know are going to serve you most, take that step back. And sometimes a step back is needed to then propel yourself forwards. And on the days where it's the hardest to show up for yourself, also remind yourself that life isn't a consistent or a continuous Instagram reel, right? We all take on so much content, right? You see so much content of people living, traveling. It's like these heightened moments, but life isn't like that all the time. Life has its quiet moments, life has its subtlety, and those moments are where you need to show up for yourself even harder. That was just a little bit of a story time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that encourages you to take yourself out on a little hot girl walk and remind yourself that you can take a day where you don't need to do anything else but show up for yourself. And the ripple effect that will have is beautiful, is powerful. Let's leave it there, shall we? Beautiful. Have a gorgeous rest of your Wellness Wednesday. I will see you next week with another episode. We are approaching May, so take it steady, show up for you. I love you. Go thrive. Life is delicious. Eat it up. Mwah. Take care.